Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you all are doing well. This lecture is all about important vein system in head and neck, and thorax and abdomen. And because of the length of the video, I have subdivided this lecture into two parts. So in part 2, I will cover topics like coronary sinus and cisterna chyli, and in part 1, the one that I'm going to present right now, I will be covering superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and a couple of other vein system. I'm pretty sure you will get at least 1 to 2 questions in the test from this topic. So please memorize all the information that I'm going to share with you right now within this video. So before I start the lecture, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch more of these information packed videos and to support me. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the lecture. Alright, the very first topic is superior vena cava and its branches. So superior vena cava, as you know that it contains venous blood from the head, neck, both upper limbs and from structure within the thorax. It is formed by the union of, let me turn on, yeah. So it is formed by the union of right and the left brachiocephalic vein, which actually drains blood from head, neck, and upper limbs. And the azygous vein joins the superior vena cava at the level of T4. So this azygous vein receives blood from upper lumbar region and the thoracic wall. So there are two important things that you need to remember with superior vena cava because of the because of its overall importance. So one thing is that there is no wall uh, between right atrium and the superior vena cava, and the second thing is the superior vena cava syndrome, and this is because of the compression of the superior vena cava because of the lung cancer. So specifically for the bronchogenic carcinoma, which is in proximity to the superior vena cava, there is a compression on this SVC, and because of that, you will see the there is facial swelling and the flushing and the jugular venous distension. So you can clearly see this person has the swelling phase right after he wakes up in the morning, and by the middle of the day this the jugular venous distension and the facial swelling get automatically resolved because of he's standing upright all day. And the mnemonic for superior vena cava branches is adult bro introduced skinny X. So A stands for azygous, B stands for brachiocephalic, which is also known as a innominate vein, and there are three further branches of brachiocephalic, which are internal jugular vein, subclavian vein, and external jugular vein. So you can see here the internal, external, and this uh, as a subclavian vein. That's it. And now moving to the next topic, which is inferior vena cava. So again, as I said before, the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava and coronary sinus all empty deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. So inferior vena cava is a large vein that carries deoxygenated blood from the lower and the middle body into the right atrium of the heart. So it is formed by the joining of the right and the left common iliac veins, usually so right and the left here, left and the right common iliac veins, and usually it happens at the L5 level, right? So so there are two things that you need to remember about inferior vena cava. So first of all, there is a rudimentary wall between inferior vena cava and the right atrium, which is also considered as a non-functional wall. It's similar to what we discussed, during the superior vena cava, where there is no wall at all. And the second thing is that because the inferior vena cava is located to the right of the midline, the drainage of the tributaries is not always symmetrical. So if you see, let me just turn on the laser. So you can see the hepatic, suprarenal, renal, and gonadal veins. They enter separately on the right side of the inferior vena cava, but suprarenal and gonadal, they first enter into the renal, and then renal enter to the right side of the inferior vena cava, which is not true for other branches like lumbar and uh, and the common iliac. So these are actually entered separately into the right and the left inferior vena cava. And the mnemonic for inferior vena cava branches is I love getting super high raises. So I stands for iliac, L for lumbar, G getting for gonadal, S for suprarenal, H for hepatic, and R for renal. Moving to the next topic, which is cavernous sinus contents. All right. So the cavernous sinus within the human head is one of the venous sinus, creating a cavity called the lateral cellular compartment, bordered by the temporal bone of the skull and the sphenoid bone lateral to the sala turcica. So you can see here this whole bluish area is the cavernous sinus. So as cavernous sinus is venous sinus, so it receives blood from, let me just turn on again, from superior and the inferior ophthalmic veins. So superior here, inferior here. So this is the cavernous sinus. It receives blood from both of these veins, and then it drains into the pterygoid venous plexus via emissory veins, and it drains into superior petrosal sinus and inferior petrosal sinus, and then these sinuses further drains into the sigmoid sinus, which drains ultimately drains into the internal jugular vein. So because of its connection with the facial vein, so here the facial vein connection to to the superior ophthalmic vein, and then it drains right into the cavernous sinus. So it is possible to get infections in the cavernous sinus from an external facial injury, specifically, the area called danger area of the face, which is a area where superficial facial veins communicate with the deep uh, system, where the base is on the upper lip and the apex is an infraorbital region. So base is here, apex is here. So there's one important thing also need to remember, which is in patients with the thrombophlebitis, which is an inflammation of the vein related to blood clot, the facial vein of the facial vein, pieces of the clot may break off and enter the cavernous sinus, forming a cavernous sinus thrombosis. And the mnemonic for cavernous sinus content is O Tom's cab. So where O stands for oculomotor, T for trochlear, O for ophthalmic nerve, M for maxillary nerve, C stands for carotid artery, which is internal, and then AB stands for abducens nerve. So just keeping in mind that the third branch of trigeminal nerve is not a part of the cavernous sinus, and this is one of the most commonly asked question in the test. So you can also remember it by the numbers like 3, 4, 5A, 5B, and 6. So that's pretty much about the cavernous sinus, and let's move to the next one, which is azygous vein system. So azygos system of vein is considered to be the azygous vein along with its left-sided counterparts, which are hemiazygous vein and then accessory hemiazygous vein. So the azygous vein system transport deoxygenated blood from the posterior walls of the thorax and abdomen into the superior vena cava. The azygous vein is a vein running up the right side of the thoracic vertebral column, draining itself towards the superior vena cava. It connects the system of the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava and can provide an alternate path for blood to the right atrium when either of the vena cava is blocked. So you can see here, let me just turn on the laser. Okay. So here's the azygous vein, which is the vertical limb, and this vertical limb actually carries blood from subcostal, right subcostal veins, posterior intercostal veins, and all these are draining into the vertical limb of the azygos. And on the left hand side you'll see two separate veins, which is accessory hemizygous vein and then hemiazygous vein. It carries blood, the hemiazygous vein carries blood from the lumbar veins, and then accessory hemiazygous vein carries blood from the left superior intercostal vein. And then both hemiazygous and then accessory hemiazygous drains into the azygous vein to become an azygous system, and which further drains into the superior vena cava. So the mnemonic for azygous vein system is Sleazylvanka. As Professor, how smart is Amandalu? So S and I stands for superior intercostal, A stands for accessory azygos, P stands for posterior intercostal on the right hand side, H stands for hemiazygos, left, which is also left posterior intercostal vein, S stands for subcostal, right and left, and ANLU stands for ascending lumbar vein. So that's it for this video, guys. Again, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It'll be great support to me and also to people who are searching for these kind of videos all over the YouTube but unable to find. I'll be launching more and more videos like these, and until then, please stay safe and educate others. Thanks and goodbye.